Getting details on the Canon EOS R5 Mark II, the Canon EOS R1, and other registered cameras has been a frustrating endeavor for you, the viewer, and for us to the point where we've even considered quitting this channel. In the past year, it's been very difficult to get anything exact, with information flopping around from month to month. But nevertheless, we do our best. In this video, we're going to talk about the Canon EOS R5 Mark II, the EOS R1, the EOS R7 Mark II, and even the EOS R6 Mark III, along with a bunch of rumored lenses. And that's because Canon rumors provided us with a dump of all information received from the anonymous grapevine. So if you don't like uncertainty in any way and you're one of those people who've been complaining about, well, not getting detailed facts or anything like that, then my suggestion to you at this point is that's it. Click off, turn around, go away, don't come back, wait for the official announcement. All right, for those of you still remaining, boy, do we have a doozy to go through today. We're going to talk about the Canon EOS R5 Mark II, the Canon EOS R1, the EOS R7 Mark II, the EOS R6 Mark III, and a bunch of lenses that we're supposed to be getting this year. Are you ready? Strap your seatbelt on, because now it's time to talk about the most desired camera of all to be refreshed here in 2024, and that's the Canon EOS R5 Mark II. When it comes to the Canon EOS R5 Mark II, Canon rumors isn't so sure about the announcement timeline. Despite teasing at May the 15th in a recent tweet, Canon rumors says that the time frame for the expected EOS R5 Mark II launch is a little more vague, stating an official announcement in May-June, with shipping beginning in July, with some Canon events planned for July. But beyond that, not much is consistent. And again, the key to remember here is that these are coming from unknown sources. There's an awful lot of chatter right now about a big Canon announcement happening before the end of May, and even Canon Rumors has said in a recent tweet that May the 15th is the date for a big announcement. And then, of course, yesterday we reported what a known source had told us about us getting 2 Canon cameras being announced at this big event. We don't know the exact date and time right now, and that's something we're hoping to firm up at least before the end of the weekend. But we'll just have to wait and see if what my source tells me is true, that we'll be able to pre-order not just the Canon EOS R5 Mark II, but the Canon EOS R1 at the end of this big event. Well, if we get to Sunday and we don't have any leaked specifications, we don't have any sort of date and time of the announcement, well, that would throw that information completely into, well, the bin, because at this point, I don't care how good Canon is at keeping secrets. Once it gets to that retail chain, unless Canon's completely change how they deal with getting their cameras sold, I would expect to get something a little bit more concrete. So bear with us, stay tuned over the next couple of days. Things are about to get really interesting. But now it's time to turn our attention to the Canon EOS R1. Okay, sorry, hold on a minute here. Detail specifications. There's no detail specifications mentioned in Canon's or Canon Rumors post this morning. However, when it comes to specifications for the Canon EOS R5 Mark II, one thing we've been able to validate, and it's really only one thing if you can believe it at this point, and that's the Canon EOS R5 Mark II. The sensor is supposed to be a 45 megapixel stacked full frame sensor. That validates with what Canon Rumors is saying, but outside of that, we haven't received anything. But again, if you've been watching this channel over the past, well, 3 or 4 months, there's been an awful lot of patent applications that hint at major improvements to the autofocus system, the use of artificial intelligence, and we expect to see the R5 Mark II as well as the R1 having a much better autofocus system when it comes to tracking subjects and objects where they move in and out of the frame or are temporarily hidden or obscured by other objects. And this is really good news, but this is not about detailed leaked specifications. It's about giving you a glimpse to what some of the, as Andrea Pizzini would say, what some of the wild rumors are surrounding all these cameras and why it's so difficult to sometimes cut through the noise. Now it's time to cover the Canon EOS R1. The camera is about a year behind its initial planned launch. The delays have pertained to the sensor and processing speeds of the camera. And that lines up squarely with what a previous source of us has told us about the Canon EOS R1 having some sort of, well, buffer issues or performance issues when it comes to shooting at some of those high burst rates. And again, we don't have any leaked specifications on the Canon EOS R1. I'm really looking forward to seeing this camera. From all the rumors that are going around, it seems to indicate it's going to be around 30 megapixels. But the one key to remember is all those detailed leaked specifications that we got from the Canon EOS R1, Well, they're coming from an unknown source reported by E8M8888. Now, E8M8888 is generally the primary source we get for camera registrations, and he's always correct. I mean, after all, it's not too hard to get a report and put that out there, but when it comes to leaked information, well, not as accurate. All we have to do is go back to the Canon EOS R5 Mark II with a set of leaked specifications going back to, Black Friday of 2022? And they all turned out to be wrong too, but Canon rumors did come back and say that those leaked specifications reported by E8M8888 don't seem to be too far off the mark. So they're aimed at primarily sports fast action photographers. It seems like, if what Canon rumors is telling us, that the R1 is going to be more akin to a successor to the 1DX Mark III, the R3, than to be a direct competitor to the Nikon Z9. To me, the Nikon Z9 is more of a master of everything, a jack of all trades, doing 8K video up to 60 frames per second, but capable of 20 frames per second lossless RAW or up to 120 frames per second at 11 megapixels. You see, the Z9 to me really does seem to encompass that master of all, or the jack of all trades, the master of everything, more than the rumored specifications of the Canon EOS R1. Doesn't mean it's a bad camera, but it means it's aimed at that traditional niche that Canon has for the 1 series, at least over the past 4 or 5 generations. Okay, so enough of the Canon EOS R1. Now let's take a look at another camera that might surprise you. And we're moving off into complete uncharted territory with these wild anonymous sources. Canon rumor says that we could expect an FX3-ish or FX3 competitor for less money. And while some have stated that Canon will be introducing the R6 Mark III, which I personally mentioned in a previous video where I talked about some of the incredible sales, the R6 Mark III is, well, dealing with an inventory clearing sale of $500 off. But I didn't really honestly expect Canon to announce the R6 Mark III just 1.5 years after the announcement of the R6 Mark II. Although you won't find the R6 Mark I anywhere on any retail or even on Canon site. It's completely been discontinued. So the R6 Mark II is the only camera. It's certainly plausible that Canon could choose to refresh that camera. But again, it's still coming from unknown sources. Consider it a wild rumor. And that's what a lot of what we're getting here today is a summary of all the fun stuff that Canon rumors didn't see as being credible enough or validated to be able to put out there. An R6 Mark III, but also the FX3 competitor. To me, this makes a lot more sense than, dare I say it here, probably will get a little bit of hate for this, than the R5C. Now, the R5C is a great camera. It's very popular, but to be able to come out with an R6, well, what do they call it? Like an FX3 type competitor? The FX3 has sold very well, and the FX30, which is an APS-C version of that, has sold even better. This is one area that Sony has been doing very well in sales because they've been taking those video-centric cameras such as the A7S III, and they've been really just creating a very powerful video camera. And Canon, the only camera that Canon's done that with is the R5 with the R5C, with the R5C Mark II expected sometime in the following year, although we have 2 cinema cameras registered. To see an R6C, I think that would be very powerful. But some of you have even suggested that an R7C would make sense too, but Canon rumors has dispelled that in the past, saying that any idea for an R7C has been quashed. It's not about to happen. So an R6 Mark III, an FX3 type competitor, it's a wild rumor. Again, I hope you know what I know is going to happen? People are going to catch on to the intro. They're going to start commenting and saying this is horse hockey and all this sort of stuff. And I'm going to see the comments, but that's why it's very important to watch through the whole thing, because I produce these videos not intended to be consumed in TikTok segments or chapters as I'm posting down below, but as a continuous thought, because I'm always throwing in different bits of information that back up certain parts that pertain to previous parts in the video, and skipping ahead can sometimes have you miss out on certain information. But now it's time to turn our attention to all the lenses. And yeah, I am making a few, I'm having trouble speaking this morning. It's still early here. I'm just going to go with it because I don't have a lot of time to reshoot these segments, so I'm sorry, just bear with me. So back to the RF lenses that we're expecting to be announced this year, and that excludes the Sigma and Tamron announced APS-C lenses. There's the 24-70 f2 L series USM, a 24mm f1.4, 35mm f1.4, as well as 50mm f1.4. And those three primes that I just told you about, we also had a source coming forward, a very credible source, telling us that we can expect to see those three lenses here this year, although announced at different points from June all the way up until the third quarter. There's also the 70-200mm f2.8, which is an internal zoom, and the RF 200-500mm f4 image stabilized USM. And that RF variable teleconverter is also expected on the horizon. But before you go writing your comments about information presented in this video, sorry, what's that, Mark? Yeah, we've already gotten some hate mail. Great. Anyhow, what I'm trying to say is it's important to understand there's no rating on any of this, but we thought it would be fun to let you know what we deal with. Historically, the chatter does always ramp up before product launches. That said, just because something happened in the past doesn't mean that it will be true in the present or the future. But the key phrase here in that statement is that there's no rating on any of this, and that Canon Rumors is letting you in on some of the fun, wild rumors to give you an idea of what we have to deal with on a daily basis and how hard it is to sometimes cut through the noise. But the only thing we seem to have with any certainty is that a big Canon announcement is planned before the end of May. Canon Rumors thinks the announcement is going to happen on the May the 15th, but at this point we don't have any date and time. And if May the 15th is happening, as I said earlier in this video, then we'd expect that by Sunday at the very latest, we're going to have some sort of confirmation or validation pointing to the exact date and time, and maybe even some of the agenda might leak out. And that's why I have the smart pre-order links listed down below for the Canon EOS R5 Mark II. These guys right here, if you're looking at purchasing the Canon EOS R5 Mark II at B&H or Adorama, then please consider using these links. Now, they're not effective right now. They will be effective once the embargo is lifted at sometime during or after the big Canon announcement. And what these smart pre-order links allow you to do is essentially save yourself anywhere from, I guess 5 to 15 seconds, maybe 25 seconds if you're slow on the keyboard, at getting the pre-order links, because what usually happens is when Canon announces a big camera like this, you get the camera SKU for body alone, then they might offer it with a kit lens such as the 35mm f1.4 or even the 24-105. And then of course, Adorama and B&H, they offer their own kit packages with maybe a camera bag or maybe some storage, or giving you the choice to purchase the camera at a discount with other lenses such as the 100-500, the 24-105, a bunch of primes. And sometimes that can list off several different options. Just like you see here showing the Canon EOS R5C, you can see many different options, allowing you to see which one's available, and you can pick and choose which one's best for you. And by doing all this, it'll save you anywhere from 5 to 15 seconds, maybe 25 seconds. And because we expect this to be a top seller, the Canon EOS R5 series is one of Canon's best sellers and moneymakers. So regardless of how much they fix their supply chain, we do expect there to be delays, as there still is with this 200-800 announced in November, early November, and started shipping on December the 14th. So if you want to get your camera a little bit quicker, if you want to get further up into that queue, go ahead and copy down these smart pre-order links, put them in your browser, and go ahead and refresh them. Once we're going to do a live coverage. Once we know the date and time, I'm going to put out a live stream, a scheduled live stream, and we're going to start covering the event some 60 to 90 minutes before the big Canon announcement. And we'll let you know as soon as those pre-order links are available to go. And as soon as the announcement does start, I do recommend hitting refresh every few seconds, so that way you have a chance to pre-order before anybody else, so you can get your camera quicker than anybody else. So really exciting. I am expecting to pre-order this camera myself. Well, I've already pre-ordered it. I've talked to my local camera store. They don't have any grandiose portal to be able to do this. So I think they just used either an Excel spreadsheet or a notepad. So long ago, I already put my name down. So I can't wait to get the Canon EOS R5 Mark II. But before you go, don't forget to check out the huge sales on the Canon EOS R6 Mark II, the R5 Mark I, the R5C, the R8, the R50, the Nikon Z8, Nikon Z7 Mark II, the Nikon Z6 Mark II, and the Nikon D50. Everything's on sale right now, not just from Canon, Nikon, Panasonic. Incredible sales on camera bodies and lenses. And I know you're eagerly awaiting the Canon EOS R5 Mark II, but honestly take stock of what capabilities you need in your next camera and lenses, and take a look at what's on the marketplace right now. I mean, the Canon EOS R5, the R6 Mark II, at the price that they're selling for, the Nikon Z7 Mark II, the Z8, these are really incredible cameras. They were incredible cameras when they were released some 1.5 to 4 years ago, and they're still incredible cameras today. Everything they were released with all the impressive specs back then, they're still impressive specifications today. And if you're a talented photographer, you're going to be able to get really good results with these cameras and at a significant discount. When everything around us is going up in price, food, energy, cars, other electronics, to see very powerful top-end cameras such as the Z8, the R5, going on sale for the prices that they're going on for, it's a welcome relief. So consider taking advantage of some of these. And if you do want to purchase any of these, I do have my pre-order links, my affiliate links in the description down below. These guys right here, and I get anywhere from 2 to 12% back. The same with the pre-order links, I get anywhere from 2 to 12% back, which goes right back to supporting this channel. And if you do click on these links, you don't have to go through any sort of BS. There's no filling in codes. There's no going to a separate website where you have to fill out stuff. None of that. You're just taken directly to the product page where you can go ahead and order it. And the good news is you get a really sweet discount on a new camera, and I get a small commission back, and it's the best of both worlds. That's, I think, the best way of supporting this channel, other than commenting and liking, is buying something you want using my links. You get something really nice, and I get a small commission back. But that's it for now. I've got an awful lot of time. I think, how long have I been recording this video for now? It's, yeah, 26 minutes, because I've made a few mistakes and had to go over and re-record other parts. But I've got to get this out by around 8 o'clock because work starts shortly thereafter. So have yourself a great day. I wouldn't be surprised if another video comes out later today. I'm still trying to chase down the source I got yesterday, see if I can get any more information. But rest assured, information is going to start flowing fast and furious if May the 15th is the date for the big Canon announcement, including the Canon EOS R5 Mark II, and especially if it includes the Canon EOS R1. But that's it for now. Have yourself a great day, and we'll see you again soon. Cheers.